Hey, what's up everybody? True Boxing here. Thank you for coming back to Get Hit with the Truth. So today we're doing the What's Next on former world title challenger Chris Eubank Jr. following his, was it 10th round? I think it was 10th round TKO victory over Liam Smith in their rematch as he extracted revenge from his loss back in January to Liam Smith. Now, before we get into that, if you guys could smash the like button, leave a comment, subscribe to the channel. I really do appreciate any and all support that I can get as I try to build my channel up here. So back to the fight now. So this one took place on September 2nd on ESPN Plus. It was the main event of that card. You know, Liam Smith had won the first fight by TKO back in January. He upset and stopped Chris Eubank impressively that night when he caught him cold in the 4th round and dropped him, and Eubank couldn't recover. So Eubank heading into this one, you know, I predicted Liam Smith to win again because I wasn't sure how dedicated and focused Eubank was going to be, and Eubank proved me wrong. You know, he went out there but I did say that if he's focused, he could win this fight for sure. And that with a combined ankle injury by Liam Smith, Eubank just, you know, outworked him, hurt him, put him down early, and then just continued to break Liam Smith down, break his will, and then finally finished him in the 10th. Smith didn't think, you know, he was really hurt, but he wasn't really responding to a lot of the shots. And Eubank walked away with the victory as he, you know, pushed forward now and extracts his revenge. So now the big question is what's next for Chris Eubank Jr. following that victory over Liam Smith? And it's kind of tough to say right now. You know, Eubank is always a guy that is right there, and he's a good sized name and can land a title shot if he wants it. But that's the problem. It's he doesn't really, you know, push for a title shot. That's it. That's his thing. It's really just whatever the biggest fight available is. And we know the Conor Benn fight is something he's been wanting. That's kind of a legacy fight, you know, because his dad and Conor Benn fought twice in a big-time UK rivalry. So that's going to make a lot of money between the two fighters and the two sides. So, you know, you kind of, I do understand the appeal and why people want to see, would want to see that fight, you know, and I think it's possible he could get that one. Then also Kell Brook could be an option for him. He's a fellow UK fighter and would like to get in the ring with Eubank. You know, Kell Brook defeated Amir Khan when they fought not long ago. So I think he defeated Amir Khan. If I remember, he got the win in that fight. But to be honest, Kell Brook is so past the prime, I don't even remember. But those are options for the you know, the former world title challenger. But Eubank at this point, I want to see if he's gonna try to become a world champion. So we'll run through the top 10. We'll see what possible options there are besides the two that I just named, and what's in those two. Jesus, I don't know why I'm drawing a blank. Besides the two UK fighters I just mentioned in Kell Brook and Conor Benn, I really do believe the Conor Benn fight is possible. So let's run through the top 10 though and see. We start with Triple G Gennady Golovkin. He's the one that he called Triple G out. He said he wants to fight him. He wants to fight him next. Triple G, we don't know what Triple G's doing. You know, Triple G, the only thing I've heard from him is that if he was going to fight anybody, it would be John Ryder, you know, and he's likely going to fight at 168. Now, the good news for Eubank, if Triple G was interested in that fight, Eubank has fought at 168. Actually, he had majority of his success came at 168. He actually challenged for the world title there. So that wouldn't be an issue for Eubank to move up and fight Triple G at 168 pounds. So that is an option right there. But Triple G, you know, he's got to want to return and take that fight. And that's the biggest thing right there, is when and what does Triple G want to do when he finally returns, or if he returns. Next, you got Carlos Adames, the WBC interim champion. I think at some point soon in the next few months, Adames is going to get upgraded to full champ. But he's also a PBC guy. Is Eubank going to want to fight Adames for the title. I think it's possible, but Adames is not a huge name, you know, but he's a big enough name, and it is for a world title. But would Eubank want to take that fight? That's a big question. We don't know if he's even interested in fighting for a world title if it's not a guy with a huge name. Then you got WBO champion Janibek Alimkhanuly. I think Janibek is fighting Vicente Gualtieri in October. I think he's gonna beat him in unified titles. He's gonna have 2 of the 4 belts at 160 middleweight. Would Eubank want to fight Kazakh style after that? I don't know. You know, Janibek is not a big name, but if he's holding 2 of the 4 belts, he's gonna call out anybody who wants to fight, and he's been doing that. Would Eubank be interested in going after the unified title against Janibek? I do think that is possible, even though Janibek doesn't have a big name. Just because he has 2 belts, Eubank might want that kind of smoke. He might take it. We'll see. Then a 3rd fight. Liam Smith for a 3rd fight. I personally don't think he thinks he needs this fight. I think it might be a back burner option just because it's a UK battle. And he already knows now for sure that he can beat Liam Smith. So maybe that happens. But the fact that he convincingly beat him, the way he said this is what should have happened in January, I really don't think he's going to look this direction again against Liam Smith for a 3rd fight. I don't really think there's a call for it in his eyes. And to be honest, in my eyes, there isn't a call for it right now. If he can get something better, which he can. So, you know, I don't see the Liam Smith fight happening, the 3rd fight. Erislandy Lara, the WBA champ. I don't think so, because Lara is going to be fighting Danny Garcia in all likelihood next. And then after that, there's a mandatory defense due against Michael Zarafa from Australia for the WBA title. So I'm not seeing Eubank getting in the ring with those guys, with Lara or Garcia. Then you got Vicente Gualtieri, the IBF champion. Not seeing it. I think he's going to fight. Well, it might be possible if Gualtieri pulls out the upset over Janibek when they fight to unify titles in October. But I don't think Gualtieri is going to beat Janibek. I think Janibek is going to handle Gualtieri, stop him. But if Gualtieri can pull off the upset and beat Janibek, I think Eubank might be interested then, because it'd be for 2 of the 4 belts, and Eubank would go in as a solid favorite. And that would really attract other big fights for Chris Eubank. So I think Gualtieri, if he beats Janibek to unify belts, it could be possible. Esquiva Falchao, the former world title challenger, he's coming off the loss to Gualtieri, and he's not a big name, so I don't see Eubank being interested in that one at all. Felix Cash, undefeated fighter, but a UK fighter. You know, I don't see it, but the fact that it's a UK fight, but Cash is not a big name, so I really don't think Eubank would be interested. And then Liam Williams which would be a rematch. He handled Liam Williams pretty good the first time when they fought last year. He put him down 4 times and got a convincing decision. I don't think there's a need for it, so I don't think Eubank would be interested. 168, I'm really not going to look at guys up there because Eubank right now is fighting at 160. I think he wants to stay around this weight until he can eventually land a Conor Benn fight, which I think, in my opinion, that's the most likely option next is Conor Benn. Even Kell Brook, I think, could be a possibility. And if he goes for a world title, I really do think he's going to keep an eye on that Janibek and Gualtieri unification bout, especially if Gualtieri wins. But Janibek, you know, it would be considered a threat, so would he want to take that risk? He might. But Eubank, you know, Eubank's one of those guys, he's almost like Amir Khan. He has to get a bigger name fight, and he doesn't really care if he's fighting for a title or not, which is sad because Khan, I understood why he was like that later on, because, you know, Khan had already been a world champion. So he would take the riskier fights, title or no title. He would take those fights just to see, you know, just to see what he can do. You know, Eubank's never been a world champ, and I think, you know, he should want to try to, you know, check that box. And I would like to see him go after one of those guys. But we got to see what happens in the middleweight division first. If Charlo leaves the division, what's going to go on? You know, Adames gets upgraded to champ. We got to see what happens here. But I hope Chris Eubank does go after a world title and does get a significant fight next. We'll see what happens. But that's it. That's what I got. That's my what's next on the former world title challenger, Chris Eubank Jr., following his revenge TKO victory over Liam Smith in their rematch on September 2nd on ESPN+. I hope you enjoyed the video. If you did, smash the like button, leave a comment, subscribe to the channel. I appreciate any and all support. This is True Boxing. You've been hit with the truth.